Good evening. Hope everybody had a decent weekend. Lots of news came out over the weekend. Some of it was pretty impotent. Much of it was just typical news that you expect on the weekends. We'll get to all of that. However, I put out a report earlier today actually, it was this evening. Earlier this evening, and it was about some suspicions that I have from an article that was posted in one of the local news websites. And as I said in the video, they really never did what the title was of the headline, the title of the article. They never did really go into it. They never did really explain what they meant. But I pointed out a particular part of that article that was concerning to me. And hang on just a second. I'm gonna grab that article here, and I'm gonna show you what I'm referring to, just in case somebody may not have seen it. So it'll only take me a second. I had to bring it over in. So the part that was concerning here was this statement here. We were surrounded all night, Moretta said, adding there was probably more people armed with weapons than not. So, being the type of cat I am, the first question that I would ask inherently would be, well, how the hell did they know? Well, I already know about this, so old news for me, but it may not be for many of you. I've talked about it a little bit on the show, but any time that I have brought it up, I'd always talked on let's say a Department of Defense Pentagon level of this capability, but I never have really spoke to any other levels of the capability. Now, what I am referring to is drones with the capability of scanning for firearms. I know that may sound a little far-fetched to some, but it's absolutely not, and I'm going to show you that it's not. It's not top secret, it's not classified. Now, much of what the Pentagon, the DoD, and all that, much of their equipment that they have now, a lot of that's top secret, type of stuff, type of information that they don't want you to have a whole lot of details on. But there's a lower level of this equipment that you can find a little bit more information on, although it is a little tight. And what I'm talking about is, like I said, the ability to use drones to be able to identify somebody carrying a weapon. Now, this goes back a little ways. This isn't anything that just came out yesterday. Again, the Pentagon, Department of Defense, they have been using them in warfare for quite some time. And the capabilities of those sensors on their drones is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Now, I do believe that here, domestically in the United States, that federal agencies have the same type of drones with the same capabilities as the Pentagon. And when I say the Pentagon, I'm talking about the military for use in warfare. I have no doubt that we have federal agencies that have the exact same equipment. However, like I said, and I'll repeat myself, there's another level of this that is a little bit more readily available to, say, law enforcement. And a lot of people are unaware of this stuff. But I'm going to show you real quick that it's not anything new. Okay? I've got an article here, and I'm going to show you two articles. I've got them both linked in the description of the video. And this first one here, headline says Oklahoma researchers test drones that can detect guns. Now, what I want you to do is pay attention to the date here. April 8th, 2013. A few years ago. And again, tight-lipped, but it just says a government report reveals testing in Oklahoma of drones with sensors that can find people and even tell if you are carrying a weapon. It's happening at a remote site near Fort Sill. The publication Homeland Security Day today says the testing is taking place at the Oklahoma Training Center for Unmanned Systems, operated by Oklahoma State University. The group doing the work is a trusted agent of the federal government. And it says right here, read the article here. Well, if you do that, you can go, but the article's no longer there. And again, 2013, that was a long time ago. So, who knows where that article went. However, right here is another, it's more or less like a blog post, more or less like a blog post. It's not like a news website. I don't want you to think it's a news website. This is actually from thedronegirl.com. And this was posted February 23rd of 2018. Okay, again, wasn't posted yesterday. And now I kind of have a feeling, and I didn't really dig, but I kind of have a feeling that this might be somewhat of an anti-gun led article. But what we're focusing on here is that the ability of the drones. So right here it says Astral AR is a drone company that is working on building a drone called Edna, which is equipped with sensors that can detect guns and bombs, even if they're located behind walls. The drone uses X-ray vision, object identification, and anomaly detection to spot the gun. Are you listening? If a gun is shot at a drone, the drone has the ability to pulverize the bullet on impact using a laser array to superheat the air in front of the bullets, and the drone is smart enough to move in front of the gun if it's shot. Once the hand starts moving toward the gun, the drone starts to respond, LaSala said. It will try to get close to the individual that has the gun in play. The whole point of the drone is to take the bullet for you. Listening? While other drone companies are focusing on burrito deliveries, LaSala has her sights set on saving the world from gun violence. Again, it's craziness, but what I want you to understand is the technology. Okay? The technology and the capabilities to do this. It is amazing the equipment that they have, the sensors that they have, the capabilities that they have, and it's scary. Why would that be scary? Well, do you think that it's okay to be able to just scan everybody in public for weapons? Are you good with that? I mean, hey, it's on you. I'm not out in public carrying weapons. I don't have a dog in this fight. But do you think it's a good idea for you? You know? I see where this is heading. And, you know, sure, right now, the way things are, there's probably enough people going around with firearms, you know, concealed carry and whatnot, legally, I'm talking legally, that if they were to put up one of these devices just on any old regular night, you know, they're going to find a lot of people that are probably concealed carrying or open carrying legally. However, Could you imagine if there was a ban? Could you imagine somewhere like New York City, Washington, D.C., where you're not supposed to have a weapon? Could you imagine? Now, I get it. Laws are laws, right? Well, you may be fine with where the laws are now. You may not. But they are proving that they want to expand these laws. And we all know that there's a huge attack on the Second Amendment. They're doing everything they can to remove your right to defend yourself. It makes it a hell of a lot easier for them to be able to enforce that. If they can scan, if nobody's supposed to have a weapon, and yet they can scan everybody, that's just whatever. Now, understand, I believe it was the other article, I went ahead and closed the window, that talked about how it could, it was this one, even if they're located behind walls. Now, think about that. So in other words, you wouldn't even have to be walking down the street. You could just merely own one, and this thing could have, there's a possibility it could detect it just flying over your home. That is the type of technology that we're talking about here. That is also why I encourage prepper groups to get in touch with their friendly neighborhood geeks. And I say that in all seriousness. And I mean, I'm talking the real, the geekiest of the geeks. Kind of like me. They will be able to help you, right? If they're geeky in the right ways, they will be able to help you. And I have to leave that at that. But this is a technology we need to be concerned about, mindful of. We need to watch out for it, because I have a feeling that it's going to be deployed soon enough, as in after some bans go through. It's already being deployed, and I think that's obvious. There is no other explanation as to how they knew how many people were armed. I mean, yeah, they have the vans, they have the x-ray vans and all of that, but those are noticeable, and they would have had to, set them up several places, and we're talking about Kenosha, Wisconsin, and not New York City. So, now as to the capabilities of, I talked about the larger ones like that the Pentagon, the DoD, other federal agencies use, and you've seen pictures and videos of drones like the Predator drone and stuff like that, and largely that's what I'm talking about on their level. However, federal agencies, and I'm sure the military too, but federal agencies also have smaller versions. A lot of them fly things like or similar to, say, the DJI Matrice platform, which is, I think some of them have 8 rotors. Don't quote me on that. And they can carry a lot more payload than our little bitty consumer drones. Those are the type of drones that you're going to find more prevalent in federal government work. They're not, needing anything like a Predator type of drone. In most cases, they can use one of the smaller ones, one of the electric drones, because the larger ones are, gasoline, or I say gasoline, you know what I mean, or jet fuel. I mean, because some of them have jet engines, some of them have prop engines. So the ones with prop engines use Rotax motors. So gasoline is what they use. So, and I believe they're the larger Rotax, which are 4-stroke. I think the smaller Rotax, I think, are all 2-stroke. Hang on a sec. Oh, man. Sorry. But they have these smaller versions. And by the way, the thumbnail picture is not, it's the type of drone that I'm talking about, but it's not the stuff you see sitting around the drone in the thumbnail picture. That's not the equipment for doing what I'm talking about. Just for clarity. However, they do have that type of equipment for those smaller drones. Now, who all has those smaller drones, I couldn't honestly tell you. I know that federal agencies obviously would. I don't know about state and county. Most of your municipality, your local police, aren't going to have that type of technology. Hell, a lot of municipalities don't even have just regular old drones at this point. But more and more, there's it's alarming at the in alarming. I don't mean necessarily in a bad way. I mean, it's a good tool. I get it. I have no problem with them using it. It's good technology. It's allows them to be able to see things on a whim, so to speak, in order to keep themselves safe. Now, anybody that's been around here long knows I'm not a fan of law enforcement. I'm not a fan of government. But I am a fan of self-defense, and I do consider a drone in a surveillance form as a type of self-defense. It's a way to get your eyes up in the air and see what you're dealing with. And that is huge. That is monumental. Which is why we have them. And I urge anybody that's into preparedness to have that capability, because there's nothing like being able to pop one up in the air and be able to travel the distances that the DJI drones will travel, and be able to see what's going on, get a good look on what's going on. However, back to the subject more. I don't know that state, county. I mean, there may be some of your large cities, like New York City and stuff like that. Now, they might have that capability that they're using right now. But it's not going to be widely known. Just know this. If you're in a city, and especially if you're at some type of event, some type of rally, and you're legally carrying, and you just get randomly approached, don't necessarily think that was so random. They may have knew that you were armed and just sent somebody to check you out. So they're not going to be out front and say, oh yeah, well, we got a drone flying up there and seeing that you've got a firearm you're carrying, and so they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that. And they're probably not going to walk up and say, hey, you got a permit for that? That's probably not how they're going to handle it whatsoever. Just make a contact, then go from there. A lot of times if you're hiding something, they'll pick up on it at the same time. If you're, firm in your constitutional rights, they won't necessarily pick up on something's wrong, but then their little authoritarian dinger's going to go off and they're going to go all apeshit. I told you I'm not a fan. So just keep this stuff in mind. I really think it's gonna play in the future, and I really think folks need to be, mindful of this. Is there anything that can defeat it? I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea on this technology. No idea. I mean, I'm sure there'd probably be different types of materials you could probably cover it with that would conceal it to that particular type of sensor, but you have to know a lot of details about that particular sensor and all that to be able to know those types of things. And I know nothing on that part of the technology. Again, it's kind of a really hush-hush area. They don't speak too much about it, which is highly suspicious to me. But I just wanted to make sure people were aware of that, because I know I pointed that out in that video today, and it may not have been, it may not have been real clear as to part of the reason I found importance with that. The fact that, how did they know? They didn't just guess, folks. That wasn't just, hyperbole coming out of his mouth. Just to say it, just to scare. No, they knew. They knew. Let me ask you this: if you were gonna go to somewhere like that, and spare me the debate about I wouldn't go, because you know what, I wouldn't either. But if you were gonna go to something like that, those riots down in Kenosha, wouldn't you likely take something to protect yourself? I think so. And I think most of the people that went felt the same way. I don't think the officer was lying there. I think that a high number of the people were armed. No doubt. No doubt. They, of course, are trying to spin it off as if all those people armed and the only one that, was Kyle Rittenhouse. How the media is spinning this is absolutely unreal. I saw a Facebook page take down a post earlier today. I don't know if or how much I had to do with that. But it was a post about the Rittenhouse thing, and it was a meme making fun of Kyle, and it was a screenshot of the moment when he was sobbing, and then I guess they photoshopped hands in front of his face with long painted fingernails, I guess to make him look like a girl. And so I got involved in it and started, just mentioning facts and stuff. And other people actually got involved, in replies into my comment. And, there were people that were posting different things, that more or less was proving, it was self-defense and all of that in support of what I was saying. And it wasn't real long. There were several extremely well points made, and it wasn't very long, and that entire post went poof and disappeared. I had to look. I thought I was banned. I thought I was blocked. No, not blocked from the group or anything like that. That one particular post is gone. Gone with the wind. So I'll call that a success. It is. It's mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing, that case, and how people are getting kind of yanked around to think one thing or another. It's crazy. And anybody that wants to know the truth, that wants to see the truth whatsoever, can just watch that video evidence and see it for themselves. It's not hard to see. Not hard to see at all. You have to not want to see it in order to say it was anything other than self-defense. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. If you have and I said this back when it happened, if you have a firearm in your possession and you are responsible for that firearm, you are also responsible to make sure that nobody takes that firearm from you. That's your responsibility. It's literally your responsibility to make sure that nobody steals that firearm from you. That's all he was doing, and protecting himself. But that was, I guarantee you, that was his very first number one concern, and he even said as such on the stand. But his number one concern is that they would take the gun and use it on him and possibly others. I don't know that he said possibly others, but I know that he was concerned that he was going to take the gun, and use it on him. And so you've got the first guy, I don't remember their name, sue me. You got the first guy that he shot who tried to take his gun. Okay? Second guy comes up, kicks him in the head. He fires 2 rounds at that guy, misses both rounds. Next batter up tries to take his gun as well. You can see that plain as day on the video because you literally see the rifle getting pulled. And he fires. And then the last dude, Bicep Man, comes into play. If you can't see that, and then to understand that all of that happened in under 3 minutes, you can't help people that don't have enough morals to understand that people have a right to protect their own life, even them. I think where the disconnect is some of us have the courage to protect our own lives and others don't. And they somehow think that if they prevent us from having the ability to protect our life, that makes them safer. Now, I have no idea what kind of insane, immature mindset that it takes to get to that point. But hey, we got people thinking a medical procedure, without me saying. It's the world we live in. Had somebody debate with me earlier, Facebook post on what makes a psychopath. And because I used an example on a very, very light end of the scale, and so he didn't think it qualified. But if okay, let me put it this way. If you have an opinion that you're going around and you state it as fact, and you know it's an opinion, you know it's not necessarily true, it's just your opinion, your thoughts, and you know that it may not be true, you go around and you state it as fact, and you are so convinced that you actually believe it, no matter what the truth is, that's a form of being a psychopath. When you successfully lie to yourself, there should be alarm bells going off there. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. It's also something they call delusional. But anyway, different topic, different time. Not here to talk about psychology. Anyway, that's pretty much kind of what I had for you as far as the topic. I mean, we've got the headlines, of course, which I'll be covering Fridays on till the days. But I wanted folks to be aware of that because I did that video earlier, and then after the video it dawned on me about that, and I'm like, ooh, I bet they use drones. I bet they use their drones to know who was carrying. Simple. Technology's been around for a while. I don't know who and how many are necessarily equipped with it, but I know it's out there. And again, it's something that they're very, very tight-lipped about, much more so than other things. You can actually find some pretty interesting technical details about things like the LRAD system, the long-range acoustical devices. You can actually find out some pretty technical information on that technology. You can even find a little bit more about the microwave weapon technology than actually what you can the sensors, the sensor capability of the drones they have. That should probably be concerning to you. Just saying. All right, let me do some headlines and we'll roll on out of here. And oh man, I expect a crazy day tomorrow. By the way, and I know I've already said that, but hang on. Tomorrow's going to be a ride. I have a feeling, and I think it's going to stay that way throughout the week. So. And I don't know that the last week will be any better either. Let's see. Just to give you good news and all. Let me have a few vapes. Not that I'm in a hurry. Just don't know what else to tell you about that particular subject because I'm out of knowledge on it. So, wish I had more. I can tell you how to hide from FLIR and stuff like that. That's not so hard. But the other technology, I don't want to call it X-ray technology because I'm not 100% sure that that's what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what type, what type of system it is that they use. So I don't want to say X-ray because it may not be X-ray, and probably, to be honest, isn't. I would say they could probably scan you, and this is just pure speculation, but I would say that they could probably scan you with a laser, even like an ultraviolet laser that you couldn't see, and they could probably get a feedback, a reading, depending on how hard or soft the material was that the laser hit or penetrated. And so they might be able to use a laser, some type of light spectrum, to be able to detect density. So, again, I don't want to call it an X-ray because I doubt that it's that particular technology that they're using. You can do a lot of stuff, folks. And I'm sure that they could detect, using radio frequencies and stuff like that as well. I don't think that's the animal they're using either. All right. See, the thing is the X-ray technology and the radio wave technology takes a lot of power to be able to use. A lot. And when you're talking about an aerial drone that has a limited capability as far as the battery is concerned, it's not real feasible to use that type of technology. Now, it's a little bit different story on the larger drones like the military uses, because I'm sure that they have power generation systems that keep themselves topped up. However, the smaller drones like I'm referring to do not. And so that's why I think that they would more likely use some type of laser technology or the like, because it uses much less energy consumption. So that's just, and again, it's speculation on my part, but I can understand the theory of how they could make it work. I just don't know the technical details of what they would need to do sensor wise and to make it work, or programming or anything like that. They can tell, lasers are amazing what they can do with lasers. Okay, let's do some headlines. Starting out with Friday, of course, FBI accused of leaking private data to New York Times. And that was on Project Veritas and James O'Keefe. A nuclear propulsion issue sends U.S. supercarrier back to the docks. U.S. journalist jailed for spreading misinformation in Myanmar. We've got a president. Miami to hand out free Bitcoin. KISS frontman calls COVID-19 deniers an enemy. So, there you go. Gene Simmons said it. You're now enemies. He just needs to take his Geritol and go back to bed. Take your nap. Let's see. Australian PM answers to accusations of lying from Macron. Moon has enough oxygen for 8 billion people, says a scientist. I'm not liking where a lot of this is going. And I made a video earlier, or yesterday, about Bezos's dream. And, then you see stuff like this and it's just like, however, it's not atmospheric oxygen. I guess it's under the surface. So I guess, instead of digging a well for water, you got to dig a well for oxygen. How do you like that? That well goes dry, you're kind of screwed, don't you think? UK sees red over record number of illegal migrants. Black Lives Matter protest shows the West, which Russian liberals want Moscow to join, no longer exists. Let's see. U.S. warns EU that Russia could invade Ukraine, says reports. Belarus accuses Poland of siphoning EU cash amid migrant border crisis. Let's see. Israel warns the world threat is ready to take it into dark abyss. I really, I've been watching Iran and Israel and all of that just as close as I'm watching Belarus. Yep, I kind of have a feeling that there's a fair possibility all hell's going to break loose. Let's see. Call of Duty apologizes for insulting Muslims. So, be kinder and less insensitive when you're shooting people in the face, okay? Just remember that. EU reveals way to make big companies stop dodging taxes. Indian party creates scent of socialism. Don't you want a bottle of that? Scent of socialism. This takes bread and circuses to an entirely different level. U.S. spy agency asked hacker to steal foreign diplomats' data, a journalist claims. Russian prison torture leak activists put on a wanted list. Russia seeks to liquidate Memorial Human Rights Organization. Time out. Back up. You know what blows my mind? So, you got cats like Navalny, and then you got this guy and many others that Russia locks up behind bars for, doing things like journalism. However, they are allowing Edward Snowden to live over there and more or less protect them from the U.S. government. I just find it amazing. I find it amazing that they will and I respect Snowden. I appreciate what he did, personally. That's my thoughts. But nonetheless, in the eyes of the American government, Russia is essentially harboring a fugitive. And I just find it very interesting that Russia would harbor somebody accused of of what he's accused of, but yet at the same time imprison their own people to do the same thing. It's so hypocritical, it's unreal. So, and I don't know that the U.S. has any Russian folks that kind of in the same boat as Snowden. They may, I don't know. Anyway, continuing on. Let's see. Green projects will free Russia from West sanctions, says a leading analyst. Robots invading human job market in COVID-19 era. They've kind of been invading the human job market for a very long time. Swedish oil executives charged with complicity in war crimes. Gotta remember, this robot thing goes all the way back, manufacturing, Look at all the robot welders and automotive and stuff like that. That stuff's been around for a long time now. A Michigan family's home demolished during a standoff and the police defend action. So apparently there's a person who was apparently staying at the home. He was just more or less sleeping on the couch at the home. And, they took out the entire house. The dude was shooting at him and stuff like that. I think the article said that they had deployed some 50-something chemical agents. And, still wasn't able to, effectively, I guess, disorient, or however you want to see it or say it. So they felt necessary to take out the walls. I think it's ridiculous. I really do think it's ridiculous that you have to destroy an entire home to get one person. And no, the truth of the matter is, you don't. You just like to play with your toys. And believe me, they could have gotten this person safely, without taking out the walls. It's ridiculous. I'm not saying that they didn't deploy chemical agents, but what I will say is I find it hard to believe that they could deploy that many chemical agents and this cat be good and not have any problems at all. I'm having a hard time believing that unless he had something like a gas mask or something of the sort to be able to help him through that. And even in, the cartridges on those gas masks only last for so long. And if you're continually gassing somebody, they're gonna run through those cartridges. So now I'm expected to believe not only this cat was, prepared with a gas mask, but that he had extra cartridges as well. Even if I do buy all that, you still don't have to take the walls out to get the dude. One thing that pretty much all police departments, fire departments have now is thermal detection equipment. And they could have absolutely scanned that home and knew what room that guy was in. And then go from there. Literally go from there. Either a high-powered rifle through the wall, whatever. Literally go from there. But no. We have to destroy the entire house. And yeah, there's a reason why I'm spending so much time on this. Is this what we want to see? It makes no matter what the guy did. That makes no matter. Now you've got a family with a destroyed home. Again, this dude was, I guess, an acquaintance that was sleeping on the couch. All so that law enforcement can puff their chest out. Wasn't necessary. First ever nationwide lockdown for the unvaccinated is on the cards. I did a report on that. Well, that was the report that was over on Rumble. It was in conjunction with the Bezos thing. South Korea tests urban air taxi. Ukraine announces start of energy war with Russia. Data of thousands of IDs become searchable on Google, says reports. Johnson & Johnson announces split. They're going to split up the different parts of their company. You know, they're like consumer products you'd normally buy at the store versus like their medical equipment and stuff like that. They're going to split that up. COP26 Climate Change Summit sets unexpected ecological record. Let's see. A granny killer jailed for life after revelation during a truth or dare game. So like literally told on himself in a truth or dare game. And it's crazy. Gas deliveries via Belarus plummet as Lukashenko threatens to cut off Europe. And this is the 12th. So this is from the 12th. Friday, sorry. Denmark flip-flops on COVID jab pass. Britain to deploy troops to Belarus border. Israel to target enemies with beams instead of missiles. Again, stuff like that is important to pay attention to for multiple reasons. But understand this. What they can do, you can do. You just need the knowledge. And, of course, the tools. But with enough of the knowledge, you can build the tools. I'm just saying, that's a good lesson for anything in life. Trump in hot water over hang Mike Pence chant. Apple quietly files patents for new unannounced product. Russia denies U.S. media reports that it plans to invade Ukraine. Obama-era official to become new FDA chief, says reports. Lucky for us, huh? A soldier raped at France's presidential palace, says the media. Toxic smog engulfs Delhi. Again, we're still on Friday's news. EU countries ranked on COVID danger. Russia set to implement some of the world's toughest COVID-19 restrictions. Now, if you think about what's going on in places like Australia and Austria, and then read a headline like that, how restrictive are they going to be? And then we just talked about how they're, a lockdown for the unvaccinated, of course, in Austria. Russia's going to have restrictions like that. My immediate question is, how long do you think before those restrictions are here? Fossil fuel subsidies are definition of insanity, says John Kerry. John Kerry, I would argue that you are the definition of insanity. Yi declares himself young Putin. And if you don't know who Yi is, well, that, if you forgot, is Kanye West and his new name. Yi. But now he's not really Yi, he's young Putin. So follow along here, because, these cats like to change their name a lot. Look at Prince. How many times? And it's important. There'll be a test later. I on that test is going to be Prince's, all 46 of Prince's names. Town cleans beach by polluting the sea. Younger people are like, who the hell's Prince? FBI director comments on whether it meddle in school board meetings, says reports. Hunter Biden's wife says infamous laptop doesn't exist. A Rittenhouse trial judge rules on lower charge request. Merkel says vaccination is one's duty to society. BLM could unleash the people in New York, co-founder says to RT. Unvaccinated, now this is stunning too, and I want you to pay attention to this headline here. Unvaccinated MPs to be banned from voting by EU country. Think about that. So if the only ones that were able to vote were the vaccinated, well, how do you think those votes are going to go? COVID-19 vaccination certificate should be as important as a passport, says Russian deputy PM. 2 Russian paratroopers die in training accident in Belarus. Again, we're still on the news I put out Friday. Dutch PM announces strict new COVID measures. Moscow plans asymmetrical response to West's unfriendly acts. It's another one to kind of probably tuck back in your head. Protesters and police clash after new COVID restrictions announced in the Netherlands. Trump ally Bannon indicted by a grand jury. U.S. entrepreneur who flew to space on Bezos' rocket dies in a plane crash. He's the one that went up with Shatner. A UK tabloid cheers U.S. hypersonic nukes in Germany, shows nuclear mushroom over Moscow. And yeah, I know it's a tabloid. However, I'm sure that there's stuff going on. No doubt that there's stuff going on. Movement of different things. Russia's first IV anti-COVID drug registered, a manufacturer says. Australian nuclear subs not for imminent attack or regime change, an envoy promises. Biden's vaccine mandate fails reality and common sense check, a judge rules. And of course, this is Friday's news. I'm sure you were aware of that. Looks like now we are on yesterday's news. Let me have a sip of coffee in celebration. Oh, fun times. I just switched flavors tonight and on the e-cig, so I'm still working on getting everything kind of primed in. Alright, let's see. Again, we are starting yesterday's articles I put out. Pulitzer-winning Washington Post corrects Russiagate stories. Yale researchers detect remdesivir-resistant COVID mutation. That's concerning. Thousands protest over COVID-19 tyranny in Melbourne. YouTube suspends senator over COVID-19 vaccine video. You know, there really needs to be something put in place. Hang on. There really needs to be something put in place that stops politicians, and I'm no fan of politicians, you know that. But there needs to be something put in place to where these social media platforms cannot ban or block, suspend, or in any way throttle a sitting representative of the United States. Or I would go as far to say any government, but, you know, this is the one I'm concerned with most. I really do think that there needs to be something put in place. I do not think that they should be able to silence a representative, because that's kind of, you know, that's just as bad as the government silencing us. Platforms that people know and trust to be able to get information, silencing them, like I say, that's just as bad. We need to be able to freely communicate. You know, I should be able to come on here, make content like this to be able to communicate with all of you and possibly to them. And they should be able to use the same platforms to be able to communicate back to us. That's how it's supposed to work. But you've got a third party that's trying to step in the middle of that conversation on both sides. Something needs to be done about that. Apple's labor breach results in huge payments for employees. Toxic smog in New Delhi, way worse than previously thought. Scottish government puts tampons in men's toilets. You know, for those really rough days. I don't know. Maybe it's for those Taco Bell days. You think it's for the Taco Bell days? It might be. You never know. Might be able to, you know, cut down on bathroom time, increase production time. Yeah, I could see it. Putin warns Belarus of major fallout if it cuts off gas to the EU. Let's see. After Kiev post-closure, will the West continue to give Ukraine Zelensky a free pass for its clampdown on media freedom? And it's kind of an opinion piece, but EU policy toward Belarus, all bribery and blackmail, Minsk claims. Unvaccinated will have a miserable, very lonely life, says a top Australian doctor. And this is that article that I talked about in the Rumble video. That flat out said that the unvaccinated would not be able to hide. A top British general gets nostalgic about the Cold War and warns risk of conflicts now greater. A baseball heritage boss believes Biden's use of the term Great Negro was appropriate, says a report. I mean, to know just how racist this cat is, this is clown world, period. Putin says Russia has nothing to do with refugee crisis on Belarus-Poland border. National Guard put on standby for Rittenhouse verdict. And I guess closing arguments will start tomorrow on that, so. Prison riot in Ecuador kills at least 58. National Guard General, pardon me, still on yesterday's news, by the way. National Guard General defies Pentagon's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for soldiers. A Polish soldier dies on the border with Belarus, but it wasn't in combat. From my understanding, it was an accident. Let's see. Man dies in Moscow metro while saving person who jumped in front of a train. Celebration of Kamala Harris's trip as gaffe-free stuns conservatives and liberals alike. Yeah, it's pretty bad when you have to celebrate that you don't screw up when you go on a trip. And being, our presidential administration, yeah, I would hope that, going on trips without screwing up would be commonplace, not reason to celebrate. But it is clown world. FBI server hacked to send thousands of cyber attack warnings. Pope Francis addresses church sex scandals. Probably said something to the effect of, didn't do nothing. Food banks struggle to feed hungry Americans. Looks like this is from last night. Pentagon covered up strike that killed crowd of women and children in Syria. And now there's going to be an update to this here shortly. I think it might have been the last thing I shared out. Unvaccinated Americans being banned from family parties, says a poll. So I guess they took a poll in their families that are banning their own unvaccinated family members from attending their gatherings. Now, I have no doubt that this is happening because, the fear is strong, But I don't think it's happening as often as what the media is probably going to try to make it out. Cops probe school board head over eerie dossier on parents. I did a video on that. I do think it's going to cause a lot of conflict. No doubt. I'll tell you what. I'm rather glad that I'm not going to be sitting at a huge table with a bunch of family members, either it be Jen's family, my family. Not that I've got a problem with her family or anything like that. I do got a problem with my own, most of them. My oldest brother's the only one I even care to talk to. But, I want no part of that. And the reason why is because I couldn't even imagine, because I can't keep my mouth shut. I am unable. And mix on that I kind of don't care about feelings. And probably wouldn't make for a good family event. So, just saying. And I would imagine that there are a lot of families out there that thankfully aren't in the same position as mine, but at the same time they're highly stressed with everything going on and with differences of opinions and stuff like that. I imagine there's going to be a lot of heated turkey tables on Thanksgiving. So, and it's not going to be from the turkey and not going to be from the food. It's going to be from the different family members with their Bics under the table all trying to burn everything down. Sorry, I got to have fun with it. Cops probe school board head over... Oh, I said that. Russia stocks up as reserves rise to historic rate. And by the way, we are on today's news, so... Australia could vaccinate under 12s by January. Protest in Austria as government mulls lockdown for the unvaccinated. Why a U.S. crude export ban won't lower prices at the pump. A pretty good article. Let's see. World's largest orchestra of 12,000 musicians aims to break Guinness record. I could tell you about how I had roses on my piano, but I really would prefer to... I'm not going there. Some of you know the joke. You can take it from there. India may face U.S. sanctions as it takes delivery of S-400 missile systems from Russia. Queen Elizabeth's long-awaited public appearance canceled. Russia in talks with NATO's Turkey about designing fifth-generation fighter jet. World's first nationwide lockdown for the unvaxxed approved, so it has been approved. UK has no right to lecture others on refugees, says Russian Foreign Ministry. World's biggest aviation market may soon welcome back the exiled Boeing 737 MAX. Gaddafi heir runs for Libyan presidency despite arrest warrant. Dozens of Middle Eastern migrants enter Poland by force. Amazon-backed Rivian startup shows how to become U.S.'s biggest company and biggest company earning nothing. Trump allies suggest one religion to go with one nation under God. I'm definitely not good with that. Definitely not good with that. And you're going to have folks pushing for this hardcore, I'm telling you. And it's not just going to be ultra-conservatives. It's going to be a lot of groups are going to push for it. Either one religion or no religion. And I think that they'll go with one. Lockdown-ready Austria has its PCR system tricked. Let's see. Trump attacks Congress subversion of justice while U.S. is going to hell. Wow. Massive crowds of protesters demand end to absolute monarchy. That was in Bangkok. Car explodes outside UK hospital. Counterterrorism police investigate. Let's see. Greenwald explains how America's new war on terror targets its own citizens. Well, we kind of knew that. NATO must help solve Belarus border crisis, the Poland PM demands. Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell speaks to the press for the first time since her arrest. And she probably said that Epstein didn't hang himself. Fed banker predicts U.S. inflation to get even worse. 3 terror suspects arrested over UK hospital blast. Australia better prepare for sacrifice, the Chinese media boss warns. And looks like our last headline here. U.S. military says strikes on women and children were legitimate self-defense. I told you there was another headline to do with that strike. So anyway, that's your headlines. This coffee's getting me. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here and let this coffee finish getting me. And God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll do it again. So anyway, I hope you all have a good evening. I hope to see you here tomorrow. And as always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.